Hey, welcome back to the Code Mage. I'm Sean Markowski. I am the Code Mage. Building a fantasy game console with C Sharp and a variety of other things. So we'll see if we can get some Python in here eventually. But let's just jump right back into where we left off. So, all right, here we go. So where we left things at when I quit streaming this morning is I've got this set up here. So this is a menu with various tabs, and then there's going to be this is kind of the design that I'm looking at doing. So you've got the title, you've got these various tabs. You can go through and select things. When you click, or not click, when you select game 1 or 2 or 3 or whatever's there, you get a game specific menu without any tabs with the options to run, edit, or exit. Run would actually just execute the code in whatever form that is. Edit, what would you would assume you would, or what I'm thinking is you'd come to a screen like this where you've got the title of the game, and then just some text in here that says, hey, go and open your browser. And what I'm kind of looking at doing then with that is to actually launch a ASP.NET MVC application internal to the application, so that and then feed out some just basic tools via the web. But mostly the idea is here, I want to have a rich API to interact with this thing so that people can basically start up this engine. They could play games or whatnot, but then they could start up their engine, get it running, they could play their games or whatever. But if they want to do editing, they launch it, they could build their own tools to interact with it. So I want it to be kind of extremely hackable in that sense. So that's kind of where I'm headed. So what I'm trying to do here is get a vertical slice of that done, I think. So I can list off this stuff. I can select a game, or what I really need to do, the use case would be start up the program, switch to the new tab, click create, or select this create game option, enter the name of the game, and then what will happen is it'll come to this run menu. I don't know if you can see my mouse real well on the stream. Interesting. Can you see my mouse? Yeah, okay. Anyways, it would go to this screen here. I want it to then open a browser window and then just have some sort of information that goes back and forth for the context of editing. And then I've got to, you'd go back to the console and hit escape, or there'd probably be a way via the API to tell it to go back and actually run or quit or whatever. So that's kind of what I'm looking at doing here. Welcome to who's ever in watching me. So there's a lot of stuff in here that's definitely error prone at this point in time, and it's kind of ugly. I've got to figure out what to do with the color scheme on this to make it less ugly. I don't remember it being this ugly. Sorry, let me look here what I was looking at. Well, I had it up earlier today where to show what I was working on back in 2017 when I was doing something like this for, oh, maybe it's over here. Oh, there we go. It'd be in here somewheres. I said 2017. Gosh, it was a lot of fun to work on those boxes. I just gotta save this so I can get back to it quicker. Okay, so this here was what I had worked on way back then, but this is what I want to achieve, something like this. But yeah, I don't remember this being so ugly. It's because I didn't highlight the top. It must be Although I think I would have to highlight the selected. Oh yeah. Oh, maybe it is kind of ugly. I don't know. But we'll work through that. Maybe it's just this top one that's really making it less than desirable at this point. Okay, so what I need to do is make it so that I can change the selected tab and then the different windows render. And that is where we're going right now. So how this is laid out is I've got a operating system that builds up a menu construct, and then there are different ones to menu APIs to actually execute and do work with that, such that I don't have to. So here I think would be update. Put this above draw. Okay, and so here I need some information that I don't have, which is the state of input, and I have to have input as a particular buffer. Now, when you think about input, I really, what I need to probably do is put some sort of a memory construct like I've done here in there. So you've got these sets all right here are all about display. But I need to have some ones that have input on it. And really what it needs to just do is capture the data that's going to be fed in by an external tool. In this case, it'll be some sort of a MonoGame thing here. So during the update here, let's just go ahead and build this out. We would do something like if keyboard, well, let's get the keyboard state. Actually, we need to get and I'm hacking a lot of this stuff in right now, but I'll go back through and clean things up as this evolves. Update. What we'll do is the previous keyboard state equals the current keyboard state. The current keyboard state equals keyboard get state. And then what we need to do is map different things in. So right now all I'm going to do is worry about mapping in the arrow keys and the enter key into it. So I need to know. The thing is, should I actually track the previous state, or should I just always feed in the current state? Because the application itself could keep track of this in its own internal memory. So yeah, it really doesn't make sense for me to track the previous state here. Which doesn't make sense to track the current state either then. Sorry, I'm going around and around. Okay, so we get the current state, we pass that, or we evaluate it, and we have to put it into the Fantasy Console's memory bank. So it'd be something like input dot, and then do these need to be mapped specifically, or should they be kind of in a grid as a question? I'll just do it like this for now. This should be easy. Okay. hate the term pressed too, because it could mean did you press it past tense, or is pressed is down. That's we can adjust these later. Wait. So what we will make here is called an input buffer. And we want to go into our memory. That should work, at least for now. Okay, so the input state gets set up, and then the tick runs, which runs through our update. So heading into the operating system, then the API menu. What this is going to do is going to say this thing, the menu API, maybe it would be easier to keep track of the state as part of the kind of core buffer. Because, yeah, otherwise I'm going to have to somehow store that data in here, and it's not going to be very handy. So these are current states that would get set, and I would need to keep track of previous states and make them accessible. Which means maybe I should actually have these as subs of a struct. Because really, once they get set, gosh, I hate this naming, but whatever. I mean, I could just have it implied, like, so if it's read simpler, but with a Boolean value, what is true? I mean, I could have it be something like button state, or something like that, and then it takes a byte. Something like that. By default, it should be up. I wonder if enter return on a Mac keyboard, right? But it should be alright. Can you do a implicit conversion for an enum? Oh, so they're doing it like that. I suppose with record types I could make that work now, but yeah. All right. And then I could go in here and say public hit state, current state, or I'll just say current. Getters and setters there. So by default, everything should come in as up, both current and previous. The problem there was that button state is actually a... Oh, this is going to get real ugly real quick, but it's not too bad. need an A and a B eventually as well, but probably. I feel like all of this stuff should really be captured. Inside of somewhere else. Yeah, I'm just kind of doing the hacky thing right now. Why is it not liking that? Okay, so this sets the previous, and then it gets the current, and drops it into there. This needs to be aliased as well. Okay. So back in here then. This updates. It can go into memory. Sorry. No. This needs to actually access more than just the text API then. Now the question is, do I have an input API or is it going to access memory directly for this? I think I'm going to have an input API at some point in time, so I'm going to receive in the input buffer. That'd be the only thing I need here. Okay, so now I'm thinking about this a little bit clearer. What I should do here, instead of having these as individual getters like this, is having an array. So what this would be is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4. Or should be an array of 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. So what I have here is a byte array. One bad thing about this design, though, is that input state, if it's not initialized, I'm going to go back to the way it was, just for now. I might refactor this later. I'm just going to leave myself a note here. Be an array. Maybe even a bit array. In theory, I could limit everything to 1 byte and just grab each one out as a flag. In fact, I could do that with the enum. But it's not going to help me get to the goal by overthinking that right now. So back to the menu. It's got the input API. And what this needs to know is it'll have to go I want to say something like if E was pressed, or yeah, but then having the enum would be great. Might just start a bridge for that right now. Public enum button. What? Or I guess I could put this in the API. Or maybe it just lives in its own module. Yeah, I think I might. I can refactor this later, but the coding to the API is most important at this point. This side of the world. It shouldn't be too hard to refactor that later if it needs to be. So, button was pressed. I want to clarify this in a comment because the terminology when you're doing input like this, button was pressed, is pressed, could mean that is pressed like up and down or is pressed inward. The language around this is really ambiguous. How do you describe, I guess you can only describe keys within states. So the full way to say this should really be button was down, but now is up. So I think was changes the dynamic of it. It was pressed, so down, now it's up, which is exactly what I'm looking for. It fits in the way that you think about it, so I think I'm fine here. It's previously a down state. That is now up state. I could just assign an arbitrary amount of data to this, and you know what? I think that's probably the way to go. Do this like this. I'm going to have an accessor anyways, so maybe it's not such a big deal. Because I can just say, well, if the array doesn't have anything in it, then it's clearly just the default state. I'm going to actually include to know how many there's supposed to be. I wonder if you can say... I mean, I can do this, get values, and then say something like max. Or just do the count of it. And then it'll be something like button states for button up. Oh, and these have got to be fast, obviously. There should be even a simpler way to enter these in, but I'm already refactoring more than I planned on. Up, down, left, right. Enter. What am I doing? Button states is assigned. Oh, these have got to go away then. So the thing with structs like this is that you need to be careful about I mean, maybe this shouldn't even be a struct, but no, it should be. This is a struct of structs, so this array shouldn't be allocating memory other than what it needs. I mean, it shouldn't be allocating it off the heap. It should be part of the struct. So, because this could be null at the start, really. You know what? No, it's way better to say that. I'm just going to return a default button state. It's up. Otherwise, return button states at index for our button. I could also do something like my favorite thing I have been doing. But should work. Okay, so back to the input API. I might have started having to separate these out into here's APIs, here's core components or buffer memory segments. So button was pressed. Like I said, it was down, now it's up. So what I want to do is input buffer get for button. Oh. State equals, oops. Hopefully this is coming through all right for people. If the previous state equals down and current state equals all right, that gives me the button press thing. So then in my in my menu API, I should be able to say, hey, was left pressed. Then what we want to do, if it is to switch the current tab within the menu. So what to do this, I have to get, well, I could do this in a very object-oriented way. So the selected tab, I could make this so that it's not stored that way. So I store an index rather. Selected tab then comes out by looking at the tabs, which I have to store in here. Tabs at index, selected tab index. So then when I hit the left button, it would be something like select left, select right. For left, it would be incrementing the index up 1, and then I'd have to clamp it or wrap it. So, so think about it. If you have 4 indexes, now you're at the 4th one, or so the value is 3, and now you go to 4. What you want to do is have it wrap back around to 0. I don't know if there's a real clever way to do that other than saying if the selected tab index is greater than or equal to the tab's length. I mean, I could set it to... I could mod equal it, I suppose. That would technically work, right? To the length. So if the link is 5, you go to 5, it should be 0, which would set it back to 0, which would be 0. That should be right. Select right does the exact opposite. Subtracts, and when you get to negative, I don't know how negative works with -1. Does that work with modulo the same way? Well, we could find out. There's some other stuff that's going to have to happen in here eventually too, because, well, just in the drawing, because if you have tabs that go off the edge, it's got to like center you on what's selected, which is going to be interesting. But we'll do this. So menu.select left. Otherwise, we will select right. And if all is well in the world, it should build. Oh, this now needs the input API. It should sit higher in priority than either of these two. Thought when I switched off there. All right, hopefully. Oof. So minus selected tab index. Yeah, how did that get to -1? Well, I'll just do it like this then. Equals selected less than 0. Then I will just set it to tabs dot -1. Otherwise, selected index. Ooh, my keys are messed up. It's working, but I have them mapped incorrectly. And so I probably did that in the left to left, right to right, up, down, left, right, enter. This should help make sure that these are correct. Right, right, left, left, down, down, up, enter. What in the world? Did I call it wrong on the menu API? Said if it was pressed, select left, which increases the tab index. Makes the selected one the second tab in the array. Okay, so it's definitely inverted. Right. Goes to right. Put state. Right. Goes into the right index. Not the left. Huh. This isn't... Okay, so if I press the right key, it should launch the debugger. And neither of them are doing that. What in the heck is going on? Okay, so clearly it knows I'm pressing, based on the keyboard state here, that I'm pressing the right or left key because it's going through all the way. But for some reason this isn't getting triggered. I am lost for words. Oh, no, there it is. It was left. So I pressed left. Current keyboard state. These aren't mapped backwards now, are they? Maybe right. Right, right. Left. I wonder if this is a bug in MonoGame. Yeah. How do they define these? Left, right, up, down. Hmm. checking out MonoGame, see if there's any issues around this noted. Okay, something's got to be going wrong here. This shouldn't be. Why are my keys mapped backwards? I don't know. You know what? I'm having a complete and utter brain fart is the problem. Wow. It's that afternoon lunch stuff that gets you? My goodness. Obviously, when we do right, we want it to go that way, which means plus. Oh my gosh. I feel super stupid right now. Good thing I'm showing the world this. Because guess what, everyone? Even seasoned developers get this totally messed up. You're fallible beings. There. Now it's working as expected. Alright. Derp. Feels so stupid. Oh, gosh. I'm going to add a couple programs in because, so on the select tab then, it's kind of the same exact relationship, although I'm sure I'm not going to get up and down messed up. These will be read-only. All right. Select up and select down. Selected menu option index minus minus. And same kind of thing. What did I choose to do here? Same operation. It's just rotated. In fact, I could have just named this the same thing. Or abstracted that a little bit more. Okay, so now I just need to have some additional values here. One thing I do need to do, come to think of it, is to make these internal. Because they shouldn't be able to, like the consumer of this shouldn't be able to do any of that stuff to it. It's handled by the control is inverted. That's beautiful. I didn't reset the X value. Swapping between menu ups and downs. I need to make it so that I bind in the up and downs. Perfect. So there's your basic menu navigation. I don't know what I'm going to do after you reach the maximum number of options here. Do I go to 10 or do I just make it so that you only have 10 options at a time displayed? And then I won't have to worry about that. Because I could have the last option, if you get to 9, be next. Or have this start at 1, go down to whatever. Actually, it probably should start at 1 because humans don't... I mean, programmers think it's 0, but if you were to launch this as a whatever, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. All right. All right, so now what I need to do is make it so that when I hit create program, that it launches, you know, into another module basically that is used to actually create the program and get it going. So within here, basically there has to be some sort of data interchange here because I can't make it so that, you know, I request a menu option and then I come back when I get it, because I don't really have the option of asynchronous, you know, doing things asynchronous here. I mean, technically I could, but I'd still have to have some sort of thing that continually constantly checks. So I could do this in a couple of ways. One, I could have the API, this update call, return a selection. And then it could be, for instance, maybe like tab and then option index. It could be a tag on this itself. So if I wanted to do something like, you know, each option gets a tag of some sort, you know, or I give it an index manually, and then I have to decode it. One thing to think is that this needs to be used from the Python side of the world eventually too, hopefully anyways. So I think it would be easiest to like update the menu, and what this returns is, you know, like an option, but only maybe an option. You know what I mean? The other thing I could do is have it be explicit, like, or I could have the menu itself mutated. In fact, what is selected is probably needs to be internal as well. Just to think of all of that. Like this, they don't really care about it. I suppose if you wanted to do some sort of trigger, but These are just convenience. Conveniently placed there. Now I could, I mean, in this case, I could pass in a lambda or, you know, some sort of callback that gets triggered automatically. I don't know if I like that though, in just in the way that I'm going to write this update loop. So really what I'm going to do is update the menu and then do if there's an option selected, then execute based on that option. Sometimes those options don't, you know, wouldn't be a specific, well, I could give it a partial function maybe. But again, if you, from an API perspective, I can just pass, you know, clean. If I'm going to have something like Lua eventually, I would need a clean data point that's a very simple data type to pass back and forth. In fact, even with the menu here, I might have to put a wrapper around that to get that all work. But the thing that would kind of stink about doing an index tab and whatever index is that then I have to do a translation of that back into the menu. So I have to keep like the same thing in two places. Of course, I'd kind of have to do that anyways. Just gonna check a couple comments here, notes. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do just to get this moving along is make the decision here that this update call is going to return a tab and option index. This, but I don't really like pupils that way. And it's also a maybe type as well. So it input API dot what I would need to do here is return. I suppose I could return -1, -1. I mean, I could return the object as well, but I think the index would really be the appropriate way to do this. Yeah, it's of course probably gonna get mad at me because there's a simpler way to construct this, but So I want to do something like question is, do all the languages I want to integrate with have tuple support? Or like, what can we do for like a coupling of that data? I mean, I could return an array where the index, like a 2-bit array, you specify size, and where, I mean, it's just based on the this limits how many options you can have, though. You can't have over 256 if I use a byte. I'll do it like this for now. It's into a struct. Make it explicit. So it would be the menu selected tab index menu dot selected tab dot selected option index or menu selection, something like that. Like that. So then in the API here, or not in the API, in the operating system, I would say selection. I guess I could put in here like an explicit is selected or has selection as value. Should make it a basically a main type or a as value tab index is greater than or equal to 0. The menu option index is greater than or equal to 0. by default it's false. So selection has a value. Then I would need to, the only one I care about right now, ooh, I can do some pattern matching. Which I haven't done much of yet, because I haven't been able to use C#8 on the job. So I know that they give you this option here when it's a type. I thought you could say oh, you have to do it like this. Maybe? Is it just purely an expression? Without a point. I don't know why I think that's funny. So can you do... No. I really want nothing to happen here. Sorry, I've got to figure out this syntax. It's with 1, 1. Oh, I have to deconstruct it. Interesting. It's getting a bit pointless to do this now, though. It might be easier just to do this good old-fashioned switch statement. So the case for this selection is here, they should be able to mix this in here. Case menu selection when that's when s dot has not have a value. Takes care of them a lot. This is pretty ugly, though. I think what I could do, really, the best way to handle this would be to actually have a internal data structure to the operating system that maps this out, that then is mapped into this menu, but is also used down here, such that I don't have to do all this ugly stuff. In fact, I know that's a much better way to structure it. So, but for now, I think I'll just leave it like this. And then we just won't do anything if there's no selection, so, or if there's anything else picked. So what create program will do is it needs to launch a new application onto the stack, program onto the stack that sits above the operating system. That will be, you know, the create program. And this is a program. So this would be input menu text. This would be a core API, I would assume. So it would be like run new create program with the API that I have with sys like that. And this would call the fantasy console itself and say, this is where, like I said, there's a stack involved here. Actually, I think I'll do this down here. So that this always calls init. And this just needs to get the top of the stack then. Is there a way to just get top? Peak. I feel like I shouldn't call peak every time. Okay, so the base operating system will, operating system is a loose term here. It's really the root like menu. I should probably call it that instead of operating system. Okay, so you start with the root menu, you make your selection. It says, okay, calls create program, passes this API in. All right, so now it would get called init, draw and update. And I don't think I designed out what this would look like, but basically it's going to be a screen that looks a bit like this one here. Which is making me think that maybe I need to adjust this to be something like that's way bigger than it needs to be. So what we'd get here something like create program. Then here, delete all that out. Okay. Bucket is set. T. All right, and I need to change that to. Okay, so we'd get in here and it would say something like create program. Name equals, and then there would actually be you know, an actual cursor here that we would need to fill in. That would need to be blinking kind of as you type in. Yeah, I'm gonna be at it, Scott, sorry. I just saw your comment. I'm gonna be at it probably for days in a row. I'll probably end this around 3. So I'll try to get as much as I can do here, and then I'm going to work on this again tomorrow. Same kind of schedule, once in the morning and once in the afternoon. And then, and I might even do some tonight, who knows. And then Friday, I think what I might do is try to take and do like an actual, not a live stream, but an actual video, like a progress report video, where I actually do more of a recording and I think more about how to tell people like how to catch up to where you are in case they want to, you know, see my stream next week, assuming I'm going to stream the same stuff. So, so anyways, that's kind of my plan at this point. So yeah, that'll have create program, name. You enter the name, and then, like I said, the next step after that would be to go down here and have that launch. So if you were to enter game 1, yeah. This isn't going to be super trivial, though, getting input, like a buffered text input. So I have to like start and tell it to start collecting that information and then take it in and then evaluate it as the buffer kind of goes through. So all right, so the create program will... So one thing that's kind of interesting here that I've built into the menu system is the fact that I want this like, this kind of like, I put that as a title to the menu. But really this is kind of like a window or an app, a program title. Now, if I wanted to get rid of this top level one, I don't know that I'd want this to always be this way, but I could have it so that the program itself has a title, and whatever program's loaded, it always prints this on the top when we're in text mode, so you know where you are. But I think that would just take away some of the control. It feels like it's something I should include as part of the program. So, but it's not just like it's a copy of the same thing that the menu is doing here, which is this chunk. Just set the title, print it out, and then this is really like the content. So I could build like a text shell type construct that I give a title, and a menu could just kind of be not a subclass of it, but kind of use that kind of as a basis for what it's doing. Or I could just copy this for now because it's super simple, and then come back and refactor that later, which is probably what I'll end up doing. Because really I should be able to do something like this. Clear it. Standardize on using uppercase most of the time. I guess I could make an invert line function that uses this, so I don't have to do... And there's so many options to make this better. It's gonna be fun refactoring it and saying, how could I make this way simpler? Then API text output on line 1 name equals, and then I need to do something like I feel like this is going to eventually need to be its own API, but I really need to just have like for now I can keep this simple and say, look, I've got a string of data, which is the buffer for the And then at the end I need to put, essentially I need to put a cursor here. I don't remember, I know I had a cursor in... I think what I used is, there's something in the font where it's just straight up. Where it's like 0xF all the way across. Yeah, but what number is this is the question. 252. Maybe I even put it in here somewhere else. /store. Probably have it on my GitHub, what I use for the cursor. For FC85. I would probably have to do this kind of a thing. $2.19. I can't believe I hard coded that. No, we will try it. We'll go with that for now. This is make better cursor. Okay. Oh, you know what I could actually do is just invert that range or that value instead of using a character. Because really all that is saying so the x would be the value dot name, sorry, value dot length, and then this would be 1, 1. Okay. We'll try that. Oh, I wonder if this is a... No, that should work. Buffer width. y position's 1. The x position is at the length of this, which should be the final index for 1 and 1. What is this doing then? Oh, what just happened there?
Are you doing work?
Oh, from 1 to... basically, it's my daughter.
What was that meeting earlier? Just a company?
I'm streaming it on YouTube.
Oh.
See, look at, here's this over here.
Cool.
You can see I have one person somewhere is watching me. Here's a comment that I got from someone, and then here's my actual stream right here. And then that's taking off of this screen over here.
Cool.
And putting it on YouTube. Cool. You doing some drawing?
Yeah.
Okay. I should be done here shortly, hun. And then I'm gonna be done here shortly. Then I'm gonna come up and check your make sure your homework is all good.
Okay.
So.
It is. I have been doing all my work. Let's just do it step by step because you got like angry at the work last time.
Yeah. I'll look at the look at it upstairs. It might be easier than going on that other.
Yeah, but let's just go step by step.
Good idea. So should go through and do one of those, and that's it. Good. Okay. So now what I would do is I would have it so that if I press the key or whatnot, I'm going to need to have it enter in the value or pull that value on the update and enter it in. So so I think what I need to do here is update the init to tell input to something like begin text input or something like that. Or, gosh, how does this work? Done this before. Let me take this. Okay, so how we do this is in MonoGame, what you need to do is you create like a so we'll do this on a init. You do like game window dot window dot text entry or something like that. You provide a callback for it. And so as text gets entered, I believe you could do like yeah, you've got character. I'm not sure exactly how this is going to work, but I think what you would do is maybe something like this. So fc and input buffer dot maybe, as much as I don't really, I think just to get this done, I think what I'm going to do is put a string builder on this. But this doesn't really fit well with the way that I've structured this from the ability to kind of poke into memory, but because you should be able to, like, in theory, you know, just push data into this, but I mean, a string builder is essentially what it would be doing. It's probably the quickest way to get this accomplished, considering I need to get going here shortly. So we append text there. So as they're typing it, now after this is all updated, I think what we'd want to do is text buffer, clear it. So we just wipe it out after every shoot. And because it's not really a string either, like how's it going to interpret the backspace and stuff like that? It's really like a stream of characters that you have to go through. So if you type in a backspace, you have to take the backspace character and interpret that as moving the cursor back one space, or deleting the previous space and moving it back. I don't think that's going to work quite right in the way that I'm structuring this. So I will probably need to change that over to an array of characters that represents the buffer that we can pull in. But again, this is for the sake of just getting this to work. So we do input text dot string take. See if we can just get some data in there then. Oh. Apparently it entered a lot. What? Oh. That's gonna be confusing. Because this is part of the input API, right? Oh my gosh, what am I doing? It's part of memory. This would be input dot. I need to make it part of the API. And this needs to eventually be a character array, not what I have. Wow, I pressed one button. Why did it go outside the array?
but I'll take a whole little stack.
Okay. Said okay. I wonder if I can ignore that anyway. I'm just gonna write out what this value is getting. So at Windows text input runs fcmem input buffer.append, which then gets cleared here at the end of the update cycle. Program updates and adds it to there. Maybe it's because I'm like I do not understand what the heck is going on here with that. Press D once. Oh my gosh, really? Text is the string builder, right? Input buffer. How does it get that as the okay? It's got to be the way that the text is getting injected in there. Oh gosh, oh my gosh. Wow. Unbelievable. Two big mistakes today. Thinking my left is my right. Oh yeah, see there's the ugly character that shows up when you hit backspace. And then this, boom! So that's something that need to be corrected. But, at least in general here, we should be able to, without correcting ourselves, write game 1 and press enter. Now the enter key gets mapped, but I think I should be able to exclude some of those keys. Or really I should be interpreting enter as a stream of data, so I think what I need to do is encapsulate text entry as a, you know, as a, it looks like camel. I just realized that G is really bad. I need to encapsulate text entry so that it knows to read things like the backspace to move it, the caret back 1 out of the buffer, and then take this as a stream of characters, and then things like enter then would not actually become printable. So in theory I should be able to also use the arrow keys in it. Actually, so the arrow keys don't actually produce any input. They are excluded from text entry. But that should allow you to move the cursor and then replace, you know, what you've got there. Again, this is pretty ugly. I thought that maybe it's just the way that this, because there's so much contrast between the black and the white, that this is bothering me. I also want to make it so that when you hit the escape key, it doesn't close the actual application, but the escape key will basically always pop you out of the stack, basically, or potentially prompt you to pop out of the stack. So you'd go back to the menu where you hit create program. So I think I've got a good direction. I know what I'm going to be doing here. And then what I will have here is, and this is where it'll start to get into outside of the realm of being kind of contained in this kind of archaic style of dev. Because this program, the edit program, which will launch from the create program, will have to have some sort of a. So what'll happen then is that it is going to call back into this application here and trigger a. Like I said, I want it to launch a browser. It'll display some information on it, but at the initialization of it, I want it to launch a browser, start a ASP.NET Core web instance that's connected up to that, and provide an API then that you can use to actually modify the contents of the program. So what you would do is have something like, get the current program, which would give you the Python, at least for now, the Python code for whatever current context you have. And then you'd be able to do like a set for that as well. So it's just should be standard resource get sets. But the same thing to do with the sprite data that would come along with it, and any other music data or whatever. It would all be interacted with get sets through the API. Now there isn't going to be a whole lot that you'd have just editing sprites, code, music, sound effects, maybe a font, maybe key bindings, possibly, although I don't even think you would do that necessarily. That would be more like a setting in the actual console. So and maybe escape shouldn't really bring you out of the current context always. Maybe it should bring you up a context into a system menu that lets you either exit the current program, resume, exit, or change some sort of settings or something like that. Now I'm thinking about it. Anyways, I think I'm going to call it good for right now. I might be on later tonight again, working on it. I'm going to just, like I said, suck up all this time that I have while I'm in between jobs to get some good just coding for fun done and streaming. So if I am on later, I'll see you then. Otherwise, we'll see you tomorrow, everyone. So have a good night. If not, so bye.